Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me, Adam Green here with No More News. Thank you all for joining me today, Friday, March 14th, 2025. We're doing the Christ is King drama again. We're going to talk about that, and as well as Jordan Peterson is involved on that front once again. All the MAGA patriots, including Netanyahu, are buying Teslas to support Elon. It is also Purim. We're going to start off with a little information on Purim, the Jewish holiday. And what else do we have? Already forgetting. Charlie Kirk being a shill, some other Pierce Morgan thing. That's about it. We're going to talk mostly about the Christ is King today. Thank you all for being here. Wouldn't be possible without you guys. I will read your Rumble rants or your Super Chats. Always great when you guys want to participate in the show and support the streams. You can also pick up, I believe there's still some left. I haven't checked yet this morning, but new No More News shirts, premium, high quality, nice fitting, very soft. Those are available at nomorenews.org. If you haven't got yours yet, don't miss out, because I'm probably never doing the same design with the same color, but I will have new ones. So to start with Purim, it's this rabbi. You know, honestly, this clip has gone around so much, but I believe I was the first one to watch this guy's video and post the clips of him talking about Amalek and Purim. But this one's from Keith Woods, 1.4 thousand likes. Hear him describe the Jewish holiday of Purim.
In all places, as happened, most Jews do not fully understand the central message of Purim. And that message is, very briefly and simply, that we, the Jewish people, are commanded to destroy the enemies of our people in all times, in all places, as happened, as described in detail.
As they're doing today, anybody that opposes Israel, Judaism, Zionism, Christian Zionism is deemed Amalek and evil and hate speech and worthy of being deplatformed and depersoned everywhere. Still waging the war on the descendants and the nation of Amalek.
In Megillat Esther, in the book of Esther, where we find that 75,811 of our enemies were destroyed.
They celebrate the slaughter of 70,000 Persians found in the book of Esther, which never happened. It's another fake story, just like Exodus is fake. But it still influences Jews today, their mindset and their attitudes towards anybody that stands in their way of the Yahwehist agenda.
Including women and children. Some
killing even women and children.
And 11 of our enemies were destroyed, including women and children. Some people are apparently capable of reading this Megillah twice on the day of Purim, year in, year out, without actually seeing what it says, or without asking themselves the question, why did this take place? Why were so many people killed? Why?
And the justification is that the king of Persia was going to, and Haman, his top advisor, representative of Amalek, was to signed a decree to destroy all of the Jews living in Persia. So that's just similar to World War II narratives. The whole world wanted to nation wanted to genocide them, and then they rise up and destroy them. Same, it's the Exodus, the Purim motif, and they're replaying it in America right now. The modern day Edom, as they view it, that is playing out the same Purim narrative, that there's rising anti-Semitism and Christian nationalism that hates Jews. And you're being set up for the fall. Before Edom collapses, it's at its highest high, the golden age of Edom, before it falls, which in Judaism, it absolutely has to fall. So all of this, we're your greatest ally bullshit, people need to be watching the rabbi compilations. Oops, wrong one.
Women and children killed. But the answer is very simple, straightforward. Perhaps it is not politically correct in the eyes of some, but it is the true, authentic, and absolutely essential message of Purim, and it is the central truth of the Torah. The message of Purim is not about commemorating a past event. It is rather commemorating and remembering a past event in order that we know how to behave today, in the present, and in the future.
So a past event that never happened is their lesson on how to behave today and in the future. So it's the primordial chaos, it's the Esther anti-Semite bait and switch trap. It's one way to put it. Also the narrative of the, like they say on their Passover prayer, in every generation the nations rise up to destroy them. And it's a law of nature. Esau, or the Gentiles, or Edom in Christendom in the Western world, hates them like a law of nature. And that justifies them to wage war by deception and to completely to rise and kill first, to crush their enemies that stand in their way and stand in the way of God, because they have God's backing and God's decree.
Yeah.
This is the key thing. And this was, I'm pretty sure this is one of the top clips in the old Amalek compilation that I did several years ago. But hear this again. It's a lesson that teaches them how to behave. So they always say never is now, shine a light on the darkness of anti-Semitism, another Kabbalistic themed talking point.
Is rather commemorating and remembering a past event in order that we know how to behave today, in the present, and in the future. Here, Rambam mentions in Halakha Dalad, Halakha Hey, two separate miswot aseh, two positive commandments of the Torah. One is to destroy the 7 nations mentioned a number of times in the Torah, who resided in Eretz Yisrael at the time when the Jewish people entered the land, to destroy those nations who claim this land for themselves. The second mitzvah, immediately after that, it is a mitzvah aseh to destroy Amalek and his descendants.
Descendants, people.
The concept of Amalek still exists. We read every year, before Purim, we read Parashat Zachor, where we are commanded by Hashem to remember that which Amalek did to us and to destroy them.
To destroy them. And they interpret Amalek as doubt, like doubting their Torah, doubting their prophecies, doubting their chosen status, as opposition to Yahweh, as being an atheist, they believe. So pagans or atheists that don't believe or oppose the God of the Bible, Yahweh, the God of Zion, is considered Amalek. Christians don't oppose the God of the Bible. They believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's who Jesus claims to be, which would mean they're not Amalek. They're not real opposition to Yahweh, Torah, Yahweh, Moshiachism. So there's Purim. They get drunk. They get so drunk that they're not supposed to tell the difference between who is Haman and who is Mordecai. And they also dress up in costumes as well. All right, so now on the Tesla thing, Green Pilled Friday, says Frog Eyes. It means they'll never shut up about it, yeah. Never forget, like the theme for the Holocaust or for Jewish persecution, it's never forget. Never forget what Amalek did to you. Always remember what Amalek did to you. Another Kabbalistic, Torah-rooted connotation. Never is now. That's another one that they have. And using the justification and the pretext of the controlled opposition talking points from Christians and Muslims, the Jews have this huge victimhood status, the weaponized use of anti-Semitism, their opposition is discredited and look deranged, deranged religious bigots. Most average people in the world, including most Christians, end up just having sympathy for the Jews and become righteous Gentiles defending them from the anti-Semitic Christians. It always plays out. Plays out according to the script. Why do the rabbis have so much confidence that their prophecies are going to come to fruition? Because they're the authors of them. They're the ones with the secrets about them. And it's going according to their plan and their script, and their opposition has adopted the roles of Esau and Ishmael as the antithesis. How do you say that plurally? I don't even want to try it. Anyway, they're all buying Teslas now. Huge PR campaign for Teslas. I saw some comparisons and I thought the same thing. It's a little reminiscent of Hitler and the Volkswagen Bug that he made and promoted for everybody. Now Elon, I even saw one meme where they had like swastikas all behind him. Antithesi? Yeah, that's probably it. It's not going to be antitheses. It's antithesi. Sounds weird to say though. This is a joke, by the way, for people that didn't get it. I just saw somebody else post this and copy and pasted it. Thank you for your order. Your order is confirmed. Sarcastically, because this was the meme of the day, MAGA patriot influencers told me to buy a Tesla from Elon Musk, and I listened like a good goy. You can be just like Tim Pool. Tim Pool did it. He says, I already own 3 Teslas because I get paid by Russia and I won't criticize Jews and I'm allowed on YouTube and I'm a huge shill. And I won't say Jesus is fake and Jewish. I suck up to religious people. I wear a beanie every day and skateboard when I'm 40. Tim Pool says, I already own 3 Teslas because it will own the libs. I'm going to buy a second Cybertruck and have it self-drive behind my other Cybertruck everywhere I go. 28,000 likes. Heart from Elon. I was trying to sarcastically get a heart from Elon. Here's the promotion.
Looking to buy or lease today?
Well, I'm going to buy. And I'm going to buy because, number one, it's a great product, as good as it gets. And number 2, because this man has devoted his energy and his life.
Honestly, I think Tesla's, listen, hear me out, with nuance, there's a but. I think Teslas are cool. If somebody else owned Tesla, like I think they look cool. I think the idea of not having to get gas is cool. I think they're high-tech and computerized and camera and self-driving is cool. But I don't trust it because I'm scared that they'll hack me and drive me off a cliff. I'm scared I'll get Michael Hastings. I want to be the only one in control of the steering wheel and the gas pedal and the brake. That's the thing. And it's not even just because it's Elon. If it was, a number of other people or companies, it could still even be hacked. Even if you totally trust the company, it can still be hacked.
To doing this, I think he's been treated very unfairly by a very small group of people. And I just want people to know that you can't be penalized for being a patriot. And he's a great patriot. And he's also done an incredible job.
And if you want to be a great patriot, if you want to be a MAGA patriot, buy your Tesla today.
With Tesla, and I mean, nobody else has a car company started up in the last 30 years that's been successful. I don't think so. And not only successful, but super successful. And because he's...
And it's going to be even more successful. In fact, I think it'd be a smart investment to invest in Tesla because all the power that Elon has everywhere else with AI and Grok and Starlink and satellites and SpaceX and rockets and Neuralink and the robots and the self-driving cars and the AI implemented in all of that, he's going to be dominant. Him and his people are going to be dominating in the future. And this is, I think, a big push. Already, the Model Y of Tesla was the best-selling car in the world. So they're going to get everybody on these cars, and then they're going to start, you won't even be able to own the car. It'll be AI, self-driving, comes and picks you up, robo-taxi, and then you can drive the car, or it'll drive you wherever and self-drive you. And they're getting everybody in on the program, in the Matrix. That's where this is heading.
Find billions and billions and billions of dollars of fraud and waste and all of the things. I mean, our country is going to be very strong very soon.
Jack Stone says, let Jesus take the wheel. Yeah. Let Rabbi Yeshua HaMashiach take the wheel. That's what you're doing. Gives new meaning to that.
And there's no better team, but there's no better for what we're doing. There's nobody like this, and he shouldn't be penalized. And when I watched the other day, I said, I can't believe it. It should be the opposite. People should be going wild, and they love the product, but because he's finding all sorts of terrible things that have taken place against our country, they want to penalize him in an economic sense. And
he's just like Ford, too, the anti-Jewish Ford.
I just wanted to make a statement. I'm going to buy one. Now, here's the bad news. I'm not allowed to drive because I haven't driven a car in a long time, and I love to drive cars. But I'm going to have it at the White House, and I'm going to let my staff use it. I'm going to let people at the place use it. And they all are all excited about that. I'm not allowed to use it. Can you believe it?
Not allowed to drive? Why is he not allowed to drive? Doesn't have his license?
Life is that I can, I like to drive cars, but I'm not allowed to.
Why is he not allowed to drive a car? I'm trying to find the meme of them with all the swastikas. I'm not saying they're Nazis, but I'm showing to try to show the narrative of what the culture is saying. He did his heart goes out to you all salute as well. So the Nazi comparisons, here's one. There's a whole lot of Nazi comparisons. Like that's the main talking point is Trump and Elon are a bunch of Nazis. And this is all what the Nazis did.
Hello, President Trump. Are you looking to
Hannity, Patriot, MAGA Patriot Hannity also got one. Donald Trump retweeted, Sean Hannity, Tesla is the most American-made car in the country. America first, America jobs. As promised yesterday, I just ordered my new self-driving Tesla. Over 1,000 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. Details on how to win the Tesla of your choice soon on Hannity.com. And this is the Model S Plaid. It's like, I know over 100,000. I think quite a bit over 100,000. Self-driving, super fast version. I've never driven one, but I'm seeing people on Twitter talk about how it has like some boost takeoff mode. It would be cool to try. Have you guys ever been in a Tesla and were impressed about how fast it was? Anyway, I was on the fence about purchasing a new Tesla until American Patriot Sean Hannity got one. Then I had to also. Yeah, some people thought I was serious too. Even super MAGA America First Patriot Benjamin Netanyahu is Israel asked Tesla to bid on tender for top officials' cars. So they're going to be, all the top Zionists are going to be driving Tesla too, Just like the Nazis. Elon says, much appreciated. What did that say there? Trump said he hasn't driven in a long time, so he just doesn't have a license. Yeah, kill switch engage. After seeing what Mossad did blowing up the pagers of Hezbollah, I want to stay away from cars that can be hacked. Kill switch engaged, yeah. And yeah, it's pretty soon. I bet in the future too, it's going to be like if you'll pay way less in insurance, they'll incentivize to be forced into driving self-driving cars because they'll say it's statistically safer so they can give you a better rate. And then they'll be making cars that are so expensive that people will be so poor they can't afford them so that you can only rent them. So you'll have an app and then you'll ask for a ride. The Tesla self-driving car taxi shows up at your house and drives you where you want to go. and that you will own nothing and you will be happy, as they said. And the tech overlords, the technocrats, will be behind the wheel. Especially if I was just like a normie and I wasn't no more news, I wouldn't worry as much. But for my sake, I just don't want to every second of driving wondering like, oh shit, like if they wanted to get me, they could get me right now. All right, so the Christ is King drama once again, every day, fighting over the Messiah. The cosmic battle between two rival Jewish sects fighting over the Messiah. Nothing the Jews hate more, than all the Goyim believing in their Messiah. We're totally being counterculture by worshiping the Jewish God and the Jewish Messiah. Nothing the Jews hate more than all the Goyim believing in their covenants and their prophecies and their scripture and their gods. You're totally counterculture and anti-establishment when you're shilling for the most imposed and dominant religion of the last 1,700 years. But all the NPC out there, all the sheep, Christ is King, bah, Christ is King. Christ is King of the Jews. Don't forget the second part. On his birth, in Matthew it says, born King of the Jews. In his life, he's called he's called a Jew. And then at his death, he's called the King of the Jews. And it was only the Jews waiting for a king, a Messiah, the Davidic dictator from the Torah to come and redeem them and conquer Rome and the Gentile world and the nations. Christ is King of the Jews. Bow down to the King of the Jews, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Jewish king that sits on the Davidic throne, King of the Jews. Otherwise, you're evil Antichrist, Satanist, Amalek, and you will be destroyed by the Jewish king. The fact that this is the discourse back and forth all the time is so controlled. It's such a controlled paradigm. Goyim being mad at Jews for rejecting their Moshiach that was meant to conquer the Goyim and did conquer the Goyim according to the plan. And the rabbis are actually bragging about it, and the Christians act like there's nothing they hate more. Christ is King, say all the NPCs. King of the Jews. Christ is King is not anti-Semitic. Christ is a Semitic idea. Christ is a Jewish idea. Christ just means anointed, christened, anointed with oil. The term for Moshiach could be a high priest, could be a king, could even be King Cyrus, a Gentile, can be called a Moshiach. Christ as King is not anti-Semitic. It's pro-Jewish and anti-Gentile. Christ as King is anti-pagan. Christ as King is the same as we want Moshiach now, like the rabbis chant. No difference. Somebody make the meme. I think it's been done. The glasses, the They Live glasses, he has them off, and it's Christians chanting Christ is King, and then the They Live guy, Potty Pied Piper, puts his eyes on, his glasses on, and sees the rabbis chanting, we want Moshiach now. It's the same thing. These are the same picture. You can do that meme too. These pictures are the same. Christ is King, say all the NPCs. Yeah, the King of the Jews. This is pro-Jewish, anti-Gentile. And this is the king we're talking about. A Jewish king.
Matthew 25, he says this. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, that's when Jesus comes back. He splits the sky, shining like the sun, with an army of angels with him. When he comes back, he's describing his own return. Then he will sit on your throne forever. But let's just call it what it is. It's the restoration of the Jewish monarchy that will rule over the earth.
Yeah, let's just call it what it is. It was only the Jews waiting for the Messiah for hundreds of years, only a people of Judah and some in diaspora. Different Jewish sects with different messianic expectations and apocalyptic hopes, searching the scriptures for hidden mysteries and secrets of God about their redemption. Jews waiting for a Messiah to come from them, from the line of Jesse, the branch of David, the line of Judah, to conquer the nations, the Goyim. That's what Christianity is fulfillment.
Then he will sit on your throne forever. But let's just call it what it is. It's the restoration of the Jewish monarchy that will rule over the earth. So you get all these conspiracy theorists that go, the Jews rule the world. You go, no, they don't. But someday a Jew will rule the world.
No, they already do. He thinks he's so funny. They already do, because half the world believes in this fake messianic figure. That's why they rule. Their God, the God of Israel, reigns over the nations as intended because of the Jesus deception.
But someday a Jew will rule the world. He's still Jewish. He's coming back as a Jew in a physical Jewish body.
He's going to be circumcised on the 8th day again.
And all nations will bow down to him. Matthew 25.
All the Goyim will bow down.
He says this, when the Son of Man comes in his glory, that's when Jesus comes.
That's what we're talking about. And no amount of cope on the internet from Christians saying he wasn't Jewish. Shut up. Stop lying. Stop gaslighting. No one proclaims Christ as king. Just TPUSA, CPAC, Daily Wire, John Hagee, and every other Christian Zionist in the world. Ben Shapiro says he's fine with Christ as king. He's happy when Christians say Christ is king. Ultra Zionist Charlie Kirk, Jesus Christ is king of the world. Charlie Kirk, Jesus is king. Jeremy Borain from Daily Wire says, of course not. He doesn't have any problem with Christ as king. Christ is king, as I said in my post. And this is what the fight is about. The most important issue in the issue that keeps popping up over and over again every month or so, every day, the war being waged online, fighting over who the Jewish Messiah is. That's a win for the Jews. Believing in their prophecies at all, caring about who their Messiah is, should be, if it was irrelevant to the world, they would have way less significance and influence. He says it loud, say it proud, if what you mean is that Jesus Christ is king. John Hagee, the king is coming again very soon, the Jewish king. You're a bunch of lemmings and sheep and NPCs chanting Moshiach is king over and over again. Uh-oh, oops. Let's see here. John Fitzgerald for 25. Thank you, John, for getting us going. It's been a little slow recently. Here's to driving the Christians and Africans out of Ireland. Ire forever. You may enjoy this quick grok dialogue about the bicameral mind theory and the Old Testament. Thanks, John Fitzgerald. I'll open that up and check that out later. Christ is king, say the sheep of the Jews. This one's better. All right. So let's see. All right. Let's do Jordan Peterson's statement that got this off. So apparently this Us, the Story group, put out some video and some report about how the term Christ is king is, what does it say here? The Christ is king, the term is being misused by extremists to manipulate Christians, it says. And we'll watch that. But Jordan Peterson introduces it by saying, the narcissist, I'll do the Jordan Peterson Kermit the Frog voice, because that's how he sounds. The narcissist, hedonist, and psychopaths occupy the fringes wherever they can obtain power and, using God's name, attempt to subvert the power of the divine to their own devices. A warning, not everyone who says, Lord is Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. And then he shares the study. Which we will watch right now.
Advent of Christianity, Christ is King. Since the advent of Christianity, Christ is King has been a cry for connection to the divine.
Oh yeah, Pure Blood with the $5 non-Jewish challenge. That's right. Thank you, Pure Blood, for getting that going. I'm suspicious of any of you that don't tip in a 5. All right.
Since the advent of Christianity, Christ is King has been a cry for connection to the divine, a declaration of faith, a moving signal between Christians of their shared values. But what happens when it becomes a manipulation tactic designed to deceive Christians? Mentions of Christ as King have increased fivefold.
Jack Posobiec
On platforms like X in just the past 4 years. At first glance, it would seem hopeful as people begin to reinvestigate faith in the face of increasing secularization and chaos in the world. But the NCRI, an organization at the forefront of...
See, this isn't a huge opposition against Jesus and Christianity. This is just opposition to squash and to suppress Christian anti-Semitism. That's what all of this is about. And you guys may get your ratios on Twitter, but that's being allowed for the pretext for the rug pull, and you're going to be crushed. The Christian Task Force czar and Paula White and the Faith Council and all the Zionists with influence and the huge platforms and mega churches and YouTube channels and rubbing elbows with top politicians, that's the Christianity, and those are the Christians that are going to crush anti-Jewish Christians, so-called anti-Jewish Christians. That's what this is about.
Monitoring deep trends in data, observed a striking and nefarious development around the phrase Christ is King beginning in 2021. In 2024, more than 50% of all engagements around Christ is King posts were...
Look, Jake Shields says Christ is King. Jake, you're not even Christian. What the hell is this? I just heard Jake is supposedly going to have me on his podcast again. Sneeko, the Muslim, Christ is King. Candace Owens. Is this not the network? Moshiach is king. You think Moshiach is king? The Davidic, the King David is the king of the invisible king of the world, is real opposition to Jews? Jake Shields, you're not Christian. Why are you saying that some mythical figure is your invisible king?
We're driven by extremist influencers. The word extremist gets used a lot, and many are understandably skeptical at its use. But we're talking about people like this.
I used sex as a tool to make women love me so they'd obey me and live in my house and make me money.
Catholics and Christians were going missing on Passover, then they would find bodies, and they were able to trace them back to Jews. Blood libel.
Real Africans, on average, have an IQ of 65.
Most like these achieved over...
What does that have to do with Jesus or Jews? Andrew Tate. See, look how they're using all these big names in their Christian talking points to smear the villains. This is a portrayal of the villain, of the Esau hates Jacob villain. And they think because they can't say it's anti-Jewish. No, you're falling for the trap and then being scapegoated as the villains. And they hype up this opposition like, oh, they hate Christ as King so much. And they hype up the satanic panic shit to try to corral all the goyim towards Jesus. Their Pied Piper, their Judas goat, to worship Yahweh.
13.6 million views and more than 100,000 engagements during Easter 2024 alone. while co-opting the phrase for their toxic narrative. Figures like Candace Owens and Jake Shields repeat hateful blood libels. And shockingly, by 2024, the most frequently associated term with Christ as King was the word Jew.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, don't play dumb and pretend like you say Christ is King to Jews, like intentionally to taunt them. You don't mean it in a what's the word? They're not making this up. A lot of the times Christians will say Christ is King. They're saying it to like try to rub it in a Jew's face. But then the Jews are getting the last laugh because they go, oh, you worship a Jew just like our prophecy said you would. So they end up getting the last laugh and making the Christians look silly.
The intent is clear.
Hold on, what were the other words I want to see? Jew, blasphemer, cuck, spawn, excrement. That's probably because they talk about Talmud. Dishonest, subversive, hostile. Yeah, like people try to act like they don't mean it in a hostile way when they say Christ is King to a Jew.
24, the most frequently...
And it's just like childish, like fighting over who the Messiah is. The Messiah's name is Jesus. Oh, I bet you hate that we believe in a Messiah.
Associated term with Christ as King was the word Jew. The intent is clear. Manipulate well-meaning, faithful Christians into having their beliefs tethered to psychopaths. This is nothing short of diabolical. We're caught watching Christ as King being taken by the supremacist right more and more.
Notice how they're using the Christian opposition to discredit the opposition, to make them look deranged and unhinged and silly, complaining about God being killed or the Jews rejecting a Messiah that was meant to conquer the world. Caring about that, being emotionally invested into their fake prophecies, and you've already lost the game and you've fallen into the trap. You've taken the bait, hook, line, and sinker.
These connections matter. The spiritual, the linguistic, the interpersonal. They shape us, they shape our society, and they shape the world. So what kind of connections do we want to build? And more importantly, what kind of world will we help create? Help retake our values.
Okay. This is so funny. Look at the list of this group. Network Contagion Research Institute, the Congress of Christian Leaders. Thy name in vain, how online extremists hijacked Christ is King. Principal investigator, they're claiming, I haven't looked into fact-checked any of these, Lee Jussum, Jewish. Finkelstein, co-principal investor. Finkelstein, that's a dead giveaway. Dr. Joel Finkelstein. Jacob Zucker, fellow, another one. Oh my God, it's literally all Jews on this panel. Sarah Finkelstein. Sonia Yanofsky. Goldenberg. Simon Lazarus is the senior data analyst. And then two Indians, I mean. Former commissioner. Is there even one Christian? Jordan Peterson is on this too. Oh, the Daily Wire Jordan Peterson connection. You see how they use this one issue to discredit all the legitimate criticism? Have I not been saying for years how it's controlled opposition? And now we're seeing the perfect example of it. They're using this one red herring to discredit all the true things out there. The narcissist, let's see. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. That's the video we just watched. Let's see. Look at the names on the cover, on the report cover, says Sam Hyde. Right. That's what I'm looking for. All right, hold on just a second. Let me See if I can fix this a little bigger. Okay. All right. So Jordan Peterson, right? Should I do the Kermit again? I won't. Should I do it with the Kermit? I just figured like I do Kermit every single time. Every time I talk as Jordan Peterson. Because you don't get the full effect. You don't get the full effect without it. Is the chat way behind or something? Okay, love the Kermit. That's what I thought. Let's do the Kermit then. I need to like hear him for a second. Let's go hear the voice before we read this. Here's Jordan Peterson.
Did his body resurrect? I don't know.
Come on.
Christ's spirit lives on. Did his body resurrect?
Did his body resurrect? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
The accounts aren't clear, for one thing. What the accounts mean isn't clear. I don't know what happens to a person if they bring themselves completely into alignment. I've had intimations of what that might mean. We don't understand the world very well. We don't understand how the world could be mastered.
Come on, dude. This is his bullshit answer, his pilpul sophistry answer to did Jesus resurrect?
Mastered completely. We don't know how an individual might be able to manage that. We don't know what transformations that might make possible.
All right, I need to get a frog in my throat for the Jesus voice. Where is it? Candace. Candace Owens, a true pharisaical pretender, she vociferously proclaims her devotion to Christ for no other reason than to elevate her perceived status. Her outrage is designed not to shout the truth from the rooftops, build bridges, or make peace, but to subvert Christianity itself with its new force to her own purpose. She is literally using God's name in vain. There are few more unforgivable sins. That's in response to Candace saying, thank you for re-upping the most crucial conversation about Christ as King. Yeah, the real important issues is fighting over who the Jewish Messiah is, you know, because we're real serious people. To start crying, oh, they're being so anti-Semitic. They need to worship the Jews. After a year of thoughtfulness, I want you to know that I will never stop declaring it. And that's in response to Andrew Klavan, another Daily Wire Jew Christian. The problem with arguing with anti-Semites is that they are genuinely as stupid as bricks. They say Christ is king and America first, then make excuses for Iran's government, radical extremist, dedicated U.S. destruction. They think Gentiles have tormented and persecuted Jews in one nation after another, so there must be something wrong with Jews. Really, Sherlock? They're not even smart enough to be feckless clowns. Jews, there's no argument against that there. Jews are less than 3% of our population, have made amazing contributions in science, industry, finance, and entertainment. And that's not even mentioning bagels, not even mentioning their religion, which is completely started by Jews. That's right, Jordan. Oh, the bagels. And while Jews have their ease, that's supposed to be funny. Oh, the bagels. Like 7,000 likes. And while Jews have their evildoers, just like everyone else, the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about Nagasaki and Bolsheviks are Leo Frank are truly, that's the hill you want to die on. The work of semi-literate morons. I know they like to flood social media with ugly garbage. It's all they've got, but paying attention to them lowers your IQ more than fluoride and doesn't even, good one, fluoride, and doesn't even help your teeth. Best to leave them to play with themselves. Jordan Peterson also says, woe to you scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You are likely whitewashed tombs, which appear beautiful on the outside, but inside are full of dead men's bones and every kind of filth. Woe to you teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but instead, you're the Pharisee. No, you're the Pharisee. You're the Jew. No, you're the Jew. No, we're the Jews. No, we are. This is... Jesus is king. No, Moshiach is king and he's not come yet. Like, all Jewish bullshit. Oh, I don't want to read the rest of this shit from Jordan. Hold on. Cernovich has been all over him. What does Cernovich say here? You're a Christian now? Yeah, he's been LARPing as a Christian for years. Have you not seen that? That's fantastic. I missed that in your chicken shit discussions with Dawkins, though. Did you convert after the talk? Were you like a true moral coward, refuse to take a stance on central issues of Christianity, such as the divinity of Christ? Say Christ is king. Profess Jesus is Lord. Like mob with the pitchforks. Say Moshiach is king or it's off with your head. That's how they act. Christ is king just all over the timeline. Already number 4 trending in the United States yesterday. Nice. See through it all. Put up a mix. We're going to play that in a second. It's Ben Shapiro. Super mix. Oh, I'm missing my hair a little bit in this image. This video. We just played the clip from Klavan. Let's do Klavan. When was this? Back in September 2024.
They have indicted a place called...
Talking about how he was going to do a debate about Christ as king.
They have indicted a place called Tenet, and this is Lauren Shen, who worked for the Blaze until they found out about this, and then they fired her. She seems to have founded this place, and she seems to be mentioned in an indictment. They call her Founder 1 or Founder 2, and Tenet would draw in right-wingers and to give them their content, guys like Dave Rubin and Tim Pool, and would give them content and post it. Nobody ever went to the site. It's not a big deal, and that's why I don't really understand. But they were being paid, Dave and Tim were being paid big money. Now, this is interesting because Lauren contacted me in June and asked me to go on Tim Pool's show, and I guess this was connected with this, and she wanted me to debate Nick Fuentes. She said on the idea of Christ as king and other cultural issues, and I said, I have no problem with Nick Fuentes on the idea of Christ as king. My problem with him is that he hates Jewish people. But
see, no problem with Christ as king. Stop. This is your rallying cry, and they say, we have no problem with that. They also say Christ is king. We showed you the tweet from Charlie Kirk, Jeremy Boring, Klavan, now Ben Shapiro even, we'll play the clip next, says he likes when you say Christ is king. He likes when you believe Moshiach is king. He likes when you believe Jewish prophecies and the Hebrew Torah and believe in the God of Israel.
Cultural issues. And I said, I have no problem with Nick Fuentes on the idea of Christ as king. My problem with him is that he hates Jewish people. But she didn't offer me money. And these people were making millions. Tim got millions for his work on this. So they did go to Gorka, who we did the interview with, and they offered him money. And Gorka said, well, where's the money coming from? Because it was so much. It was a lot. It was not just 6 figures. It was 7 figures for their content. And Gorka said, sounds great. Where's the money coming from? And when he couldn't get an answer, Gorka went back to smoking his.
It was coming from Russia, apparently. Coming from Russia. Okay, Curious Canuckle says that sounded like a post-oral herpes pedestine. Well, thank you so much for that 100 pennies there, Curious Canuckle. Oral herpes, huh? Rabbi Talmud Heimer, that's a funny new name. Rabbi Talmud Heimer, huh? Hail Ares, Nike, Apollo, Hebe, and the Pantheon and Greeks, beloved and oft-adorned statues, which were believed to act as conduits of the graces of the gods. The Greeks notice and now build new temples. No, we couldn't build anything without the Bible. Lotta Sense says, Christ is king. Jew worshippers are just online LARPers. Yeah, terminally online. Don't even make up a fraction of opinions on Jews that all Christian churches have. Candace Owen says, shares the Daily Beast article, Why MAGA Must Expel the Podcast Pod Pipers of Anti-Semitism, from Daniela Greenbaum. Candace Owen says, imagine the reaction if a Christian wrote an article calling for Jews to be expelled from anything. This is really just so wild. Garrett Masterpiece McCluskey says Confucius says rice is king. Does he really? Or is that just a joke? Okay. True. That's a true point, though, if a Christians. I mean, Christians are all over the timeline and the internet bragging about 100 or calling for 110 and bragging about Christians kicking Jews out of their countries throughout history. So they kind of do it, but not a big mainstream article. Here's Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom. I was just about to call him an Uncle Tom Zionist, and his introduction literally says Uncle Tom's favorite nephew, some black guy, some Christian black guy that works for PragerU. Says, saying Christ is king for the sole purpose of heckling Jews is sacrilegious and disgusting. Stop dragging the Lord into your ghetto drama. Seth Dillon of the Babylon Bee, another, I think, Jew turned Christian. Not sure on that. Says, see, says, F this Jew, Christ is king. This is an abuse of Christianity, a co-opting of Christianity. No one who finds this objectionable is guilty of attacking Christianity. On the contrary, we're defending it. See, they're the real Christians, and they're the ones with the millions of followers and the millions of dollars and the huge mega churches and in the halls of power. And they literally, Jews get away with what they get away with, and Zionism has so much power because of the Christian supporters, but even more importantly, the controlled opposition from Christians and their lies and their discredited talking points. That's the shield that protects Judaism and Zionism. Christian with, I think it's a Catholic, Dr. Taylor Marshall, 200,000 followers, a podcaster, says the affirmation Christ is king is anti-Talmudic. That's why they're angry. They're not angry when you say Christ is king. They laugh and say, the Goyim believe in a Jew. Is Mizrachi, who says, how can I not be happy when millions of Goyim chant Christ is king and bow down to one Jew tonight?
This JC, which died as a Jew.
Where's the right clip? Why am I not finding the right clip? Millions. And the thing is they just keep like gaslighting and not giving you the full truth of what the rabbis actually say about Jesus, how they actually view Jesus. Here it is.
One Swiss guy came to him and said, well, Rabbi, it's the birth of the Messiah that you don't believe in. So why are you so happy? He said, how can I not be happy that millions of goyim bow down to one Jew tonight? He said to him, tonight is my happiest night of the year. Rabbi Berkovitz said to the guy, how can I not be happy when I see millions of goyim bow down to one Jew tonight?
And they say, Mizrachi says explicitly, clearly, that God prefers Christianity, that Jews prefer Christianity to pagan idol worship. And these guys still get up here and gaslight. And then the Christians get to play the victims. They're just like the Jews, like, oh, you're hurting me. We can't say Christ is king. Now, let's do the Ben Shapiro clip of Christ is king before we go any further. Shout out See Through It All for this great clip. God, this was a good hair day. I'm a little bit taking crazy pills today.
Notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
A little bit. Missing those locks today, though. So here's a little compilation from See Through It All, a good one. We'll give it another retweet. just for the heck of it.
Right, I'm Jewish, and I say once again, this is not an encouragement for Christians not to go to church.
Look, wait.
You'll save the country if you go to church.
Browner.
Oh, go to church. You'll see this country will be saved if you go to church. Go to your church, Goyim, and worship the God that chose me. Go to the church and talk and read your Hebrew Torah, Goyim.
And then all the top anti-Israel, anti-Zionist guys online, their big thing they ever say to Shapiro is he hates Jesus. If your problem with Jews and Shapiro is that he hates Jesus, you've lost. It's over.
The hat means I'm a Jew, right? So I always preface any conversation by saying that if you're a Catholic, you should absolutely go to church more often.
Dude, soundbite that. We need to see through it all in the chat. Guys, we need an edit of like just quick ones like that of Shapiro. There's another soundbite where he says,
I think it's great when you say Christ is king. I think all the Goyim should say Christ is king.
Yeah, a special Ben Shapiro Groyper edit.
The reconnection with the Old Testament, because after all, Jesus was a Jew, and not only was a Jew, was a practicing Jew. I, as a Jew, have not only no problem with people saying, for example, Christ is king. I think that that's a good thing for Christians to say. I want Christians to do that because I think that for American society, more people need to declare who are Christian that Christ is king and go back to church.
You hear that, Groypers? No problem with you saying Christ is king because it means Moshiach is king according to the prophecies. He's king, the Messiah, son of David, the king of Judah. That's why he has no problem with it. So he does have a problem with pagans. He does shows titled Rise of the Pagans, kvetching about the pagans. But he encourages Christianity. Maybe the Christians could pull their head out of the ass and figure out what's going on here.
The amount of secularization of American society is truly disturbing. Fewer people than ever going to church.
We need more people going to church. More Goyim need to worship the God of the Jews right away. This is not good. We need more Israel supporters. We need more Christians.
The more likely they do polls, the more often you go to church, the more likely you are to be extremely pro-Israel.
I'm not telling y'all what to think about Jesus. I think y'all should go to church. I think that you guys should believe in your religion. I think that you should advocate for your religion. I think that you should become, if you are a Christian, good Christian men and women who bring up your kids in good Christian ways. Nor am I saying that if you're a Christian, you shouldn't go to church.
And be good Noahites too, Goy.
I'm trying to encourage more Christians to go back to church. I think that the future of the country is deeply reliant on the reinstitution of trust in the church as an institution.
Thanks, Ben.
So I want a robust and healthy institution of Christianity in the United States that the state does not infringe upon and does not destroy. Absolutely. In the end, for America, that's what I'd love to see is a more Christian America in which more people choose God. That's going to require more leadership like yours. It's going to require more powerful Christian leadership.
I want to see a more Christian America because Christians are the biggest supporters of Israel. It's the number one religion in America. They're the number one supporters of Israel. They are their foot soldiers, their henchmen, their duped, useful idiot foot soldiers. That's why he wants more. Of course he wants all the nations. He wants to promote Noahide laws, so of course he wants more Christians because they're almost perfect Noahides.
Right, so doctrinally, what Judaism believes is that the commandments of Israel were only given to Israel. Okay. Meaning that the 7 Noahide commandments that I referred to earlier, those are incumbent on all of humanity because they're given to Noah right before the Jews actually arise as an independent family and people.
Dude, we got Ari Shafir and Tucker Carlson promoting Noahides. We got Ben Shapiro promoting Noahides with Jordan Peterson, who also talked about it with a Muslim guy being Noahides. And now here he is again with another Christian shilling the Noahide laws.
We don't want you to convert to Judaism.
So they've got a dilemma. All of the nations need to worship the God of Israel, but not convert to Judaism and follow the commandments and keep Sabbath. This is a sick edit. Circumcise and keep kosher, which are all things only for the Jews. So what do they need to do? Create other Gentile, blended with paganism religions for the nations. They had to worship the God of Israel, but not convert to Judaism, so they created new Noahide religions.
A lot of the areas where Christian scholars think that Christianity has departed dramatically from Judaism, I think are not really dramatic departures. They seem to be reflections of Judaism from a slightly different angle.
Christianity is just Judaism from a slightly different angle and not a departure from Judaism. Ben Shapiro says the same thing here, too. He goes, you're Judeo-Christian, you guys came from Judaism. And he promotes Christianity.
I'm not sure that there's anybody in America, personally speaking, who's pushed more people back to church than me.
And this is awesome, see-through about filling the church pews and bringing people to Christianity. Him and his buddy Dennis Prager, 2 of the top Jewish Zionists in America, compete for the title of who could bring more Goyim to Jesus. And you guys still don't get it? And you still can't put it together?
I tell Christians literally all the time to go to church. I tell Christians all the time to re-engage with their faith. I think it is deeply, deeply important.
He's totally owned. He's like, oh, I wanted to hate you, and now you're telling me to go to church? You're telling me you're happy when I say Christ is king? And then the Christians share this around like, oh, we totally got him, guys. No, you didn't. You made yourself look silly, and Shapiro just dunked all over you.
I want you to be Christian. I want you to go to church. I want you to be a Noahide and believe in our God.
And there is no moral neutral. Your society is filled with the air and water of Judeo-Christian religion and tradition and morality, religion that has been time-tested and found to be effective and durable. Or you can have this new paganistic religion, which sees apparently...
Don't be pagan, guy. Go worship the Jew. Say Christ is king. Don't be pagans. You need to be Noahides.
Immortal Al says, if Noahide laws were enforced, would Christians be guilty of idolatry? If they believed in the Trinity, possibly. That's the best way I can answer that. Kirsten for 5, thank you. Neanderthalian for 5 says, hail Goy Shiach, hail Europe, hail Odin, and down with Yahweh. I added the last part in. What does this say? Okay, a few more.
No value to life whatsoever. If you're talking about like paganism,
ew, paganism
Judaism would have a problem with paganism.
But Judaism does have a problem with paganism. Christianity, no, go to church, worship the Jew. It's great. Say Christ is king.
No Christian religion and tradition and morality, religion that has been time tested and found to be effective and durable. Or you can have this new paganistic religion, which sees apparently no value to life whatsoever. If you're talking about like paganism. Judaism would have a problem with paganism.
Ben Shapiro says he prefers Christians to pagans, and the Christians are just crickets. No response. No cope. They just keep going, oh, Ben Shapiro hates Christians.
Nothing they hate more.
He said Jesus was killed by the Romans. How dare him? He doesn't believe he was God. How dare him? Such a good compilation. Like, it's nobody else online has compiled like an epic mix of Ben Shapiro shilling for Jesus like this before, and the Christians just are just like la 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 la. Nothing they hate more. Christ is king. Nothing they hate more. Rabbi Yeshua is king. Every knee will bow to the Jewish Messiah. Like, so sick of these guys. So sick of it. Such a fire clip. Did he say the one at the very beginning where he says, I have no problem when you say Christ is king? Here it is.
Because after all, Jesus was a Jew, and not only was a Jew, was a practicing Jew. I, as a Jew, have not only no problem with people saying, for example, Christ is king. I think that that's a good thing for Christians to say. I want Christians to do that because I think that...
I want Christians to say Christ is king. I think you need to worship the Jew and have your Judeo-Christian values and believe in the prophecies. And Maimonides said that actually you're just preparing the way for the Messianic age. But how many times do they keep doing this whole song and dance? And we keep exposing it? And they're willfully ignorant, suppressing, ignoring, blacklisting, suppressing. Optics Prime says, don't know if you saw it, but there's a new David show on Amazon, very kosher. I did see that. I almost played a clip of it the other day. Yeah, nothing they hate more, nothing they shove down your throats more than that. All right, that was fun. Try to have a little bit of fun with you guys. Jack Posobiec, Zionist organization meetings, attendee, honeymoon in Israel, Jack Posobiec. They're trying to get Christ is king labeled hate speech. It's so clear what's going on here. No. Thank you. You literally support them. Yeah, exactly. And he's leading the charge of this Christ is king psyop. Pretending Christ is king is the political field to die on. It's like a game over. Dead on arrival. You've already lost. Jack Posobiec, 3 million followers, Catholic Zionist. We are not accepting leftist style attacks on our words. Christ is king, Christ is king, Christ is king. Hey, if you really want to stick it to the man, you really want to piss off the Jews, bow down to the Jewish Messiah, guys. Come on. Nothing they hate more than you worshiping their God and believing in their prophecies. Christ is king. Christ is... Look at this. Europa last battle.
Rabbi Yeshua teaching Christians how to commit racial suicide, colorized. All right, here's Candace's 5 minutes on the Christ is King
What you have
controversy.
going on right now. What you have going on right now is this study. I find this timing to be remarkably suspicious, the way they're trying to pull Christians apart and make them think that they can be a better Christian is so reminiscent to me of a discussion I had with Dr. Ben Carson, actually, about slavery. And he was saying, and that
we already want to turn her off.
Speaking, this was sort of the concept of the field Negro and the house Negro, right? Like you're the house Negro, so you're, which Jordan Peterson took part in, is when you look at, because I just Christian, here's all you have to do.
House Christian.
Condemn them that are out in the field. And I won't play this game anymore. And what I am particularly peeved about regarding this study, which Jordan Peterson took part in, is when you look at, because I just said, okay, who funded this study? Who did this study? Is this Christians coming together and recognizing a problem amongst Christians? Because that would make a little more sense. I would still strongly disagree. But if it was all Christians that came together in front of the study and said, hey, we really have a problem and we've got to address it, then I would be much more
Christians do say it. It has been Christians saying it.
Understanding this Lenten season. But it's not that. Okay? It's not that. Look at the list of the people who were part of this study.
It's so reactionary. It's like if you want all the Goyim to follow your Messiah, you reject the Messiah and you appear to be in opposition to it, and then the Goyim flock to it.
I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, good one, Big Mama. The irony of her comparing Christians to slaves. Yeah. Apt analogy. They are actually slaves.
10, 11, 12.
Not saved. Enslaved.
13 individuals who took place in this study. The first principle.
And they knew that all of the internet Christians would see that it's all Jews. They only have the most obvious Jew names ever. Goldenberg, Finkelstein, Zucker, Lazarus. And they knew they would react to this and double down on the Jew worship. Mission accomplished.
Principal investigator there that you have, Dr. Lee Jussum, is Jewish. Dr. Jordan Peterson has said he does not believe in Christ. We're going to get to him in a second, so he's unknown.
Actually, he won't say that. He won't give a straight answer about anything, but he definitely shills the Bible and Jesus all the time. And the Christians think that he's dog whistling to them, and they count him as a victory. Go on YouTube and do Jordan Peterson Christianity. He's basically the new pseudo-intellectual hero of the Christians.
I guess we could say an atheist, perhaps. Reverend Dr. Johnny Moore, who I would refer to as the token Christian because he's the only one, and he's the one that retweeted this study and got this going this morning. We're going to speak more about him. Then we have Dr. Joel Finkelstein, who is Jewish. We have Jacob Zucker, who is Jewish. We have Danit Sarah Finkelstein, who is Jewish. We have Sonia Yanofsky, who is Jewish. We have Alex Goldenberg, who is Jewish. We have Ohad Fadida, who is Jewish. We have Gideon Furher, who we checked, and he is Jewish. We have Simon Lazarus, who is Jewish. And the last two, Anisa Jagdeep and Ankita Jagdeep, are presumably Hindu, but they are Indian. So it says this is a study that was funded by Jews to make Christians war with one another during the Lenten season. That is problematic to me, okay? And I hope...
Hold on, you act like Christians weren't already fighting, like the pro-Jewish Christians and the anti-Jewish Christians weren't fighting until this study came out. We've already gone through this like every month for the last many years.
Hope that if you are a Jewish listener of mine, now that you've probably been enjoying my content and recognizing that
token goy on a t-shirt
don't make sense. I am in the middle of a series trying to ironically to free a Jewish man from prison, Harvey Weinstein, who I believe was wrongfully convicted.
What?
And he is was one of the biggest donors to the ADL, who has me on their list as an anti-Semite. But I don't care because I care about the truth, and I don't care about whether or not he's Jewish. I don't care who he donates to or what he believes in politically. I care about actual justice.
Is she saying she's suing to get Harvey Weinstein out of jail? Is that what I just heard? Did I mishear that?
Probably been watching my series on Justin Baldoni, who is Ashkenazi Jewish and who is along with Justin Heath.
Oh, dude, I got to find the clip of her saying, Candace Owens says, like, she can't be anti-Judaism because she's a Christian. Zionist Cuck says, welcome to the Kermit the Anti-Jew Show. You're a great adult child show host, Adam, although some of these God's children can't let go of their shepherd. Nope, sheep following their Jewish shepherd. Zionist Cuck says, actual house Negro. Yeah. She literally worked for Dennis Prager and Ben Shapiro. She was the house black for the right.
And Steve Sarowitz, another Jewish individual.
She really is doing a series on Weinstein to get Weinstein out of jail. You kidding me?
Ashkenazi Jewish individual.
And she's shilling for the Tates all the time too.
Being attacked by quote unquote Christians, right? Christian Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, they grew up some denomination of Christianity, and yet I take their side, not because they're Jewish, not because I care if his name is Steve Sarowitz, because I think they're right and I think they're telling the truth. And because people are able to get to my content, they can see now that all of these smears have always been ridiculous. I simply don't support Israel and what Israel is doing, and that is my right as an American. So for those of you who watch my content and are Jewish, how would you feel if during a high holy holiday, you found that a group of 13 Christians and one token Jew funded a study saying that, well, you know what? You wearing your yarmulke is actually anti-Christian. I find that to be, you just can't do that right now. And it's
not even at all similar a comparison. A study complaining about them wearing a yarmulke is not the same as a fringe minority of Christians turning Christ is King into like an anti-Jewish motto. It's very different.
It's not what you can do it, but we're just trying to explain to you that there's some of you who are doing it.
They're not saying they have a problem with you believing Jesus is a king. That's not what their problem is. It's using it in a way against Jews. Comparing that to we're mad about your yarmulke is just so disingenuous. Come on. And most people are going to see this and go, okay, that's ridiculous stretch. Zorn Der Edom says, Hail Goy Shiach Shuckles for the continuously great content. Thank you, buddy.
To hurt Christians. So we just need you guys to peel off and recognize which one of you Jews should be shouting at the other Jews. You can be a good Jew or you can be a bad Jew. That is how this study has arrived to Christians. So I'm really trying to communicate to you from the heart of where the frustration and the anger comes from. Okay.
Same with Myron. He never touches Islam or Christianity for a reason.
It has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. It has to do with people being able to clearly see what this is. This is a Jewish-funded attack against Christians during the Lenten season. That is a fact. There's no way. And this does not mean that every Jew participated in this. In fact, we have their names right here. We know the person.
Hey, don't you guys know you're not allowed to criticize Christians for the month, the 40 days that they stop whacking off or whatever they're doing.
Funded this organization, by the way. He is on this list as well. It's Dr. Joel Finkelstein. His father is a rabbi. So to purport and pretend that this is some, Jewish Christian issue, it's just not.
See, and now she's setting her up for disaster because all the Christians will come out of the woodwork and say, we do condemn your use and your anti-Jewish attitudes. Yeah, Christianity is a Jewish-funded attack on me, says See Through It All. Did you just get here, See Through It All? We played your 6-minute compilation I just retweeted with Ben Shapiro. It was really awesome. I liked it. Kermit was getting down to the music. And there was the clip we just did. Greatest Christian Zionist mix of all time.
And repeated again.
Okay, we already played the clip. Donald O'Trumpo, 16,000 likes. Donald Trump gets on his knees for Jesus. Doesn't this look kind of gay? Getting on your knees like that. Gay. It's just so bad. Every knee will bow to the Jewish king. Christ is King of the Jews. Matt Gates says, I agree with Paula White. Bring back prayer in schools.
Public school.
Yeah, Bring back the Hebrew Torah into the schools. That's a great idea.
So much of, I think, the way we got...
Yeah, we need to start training Noahides in the schools. Teach the children about Noah's rainbow, Noahidic rainbow covenant with the Goy.
So much of, I think, the way we got away from faith was driven by the schools. When I was first going to public school, there would be a moment at the beginning of the day where people could pray if they chose. They could meditate. They could not pray and just sit quietly. And
oh, there it is. That's that Noahide Chabad moment of silence that they're trying to do. See, first they started as a moment of silence, and then the Zionists get back in charge, and then now it's going to be, okay, a moment of silence of prayer to Yahweh, to the God of Israel. Here already they're doing it.
There would be a moment at the beginning of the day where people could pray if they chose. They could.
This is the Chabad idea, and now the Christians are implementing it. Remember all the pictures of the rabbis surrounding as Florida and Arizona governors held up their law that they signed about the moment of silence in schools? The moment of silence, a few years later, has already turned into now a prayer to the Bible God. Big Mama for 20 says the cognitive dissonance within the Christian community is mind-boggling. Buy Mrs. Green a bottle of wine for this Shabbat Eve. I'll see if she wants some wine. We may be driving up to the mountains looking for some snow soon, so maybe instead of wine, we'll get a warm apple pie. Slice of warm apple pie on Big Mama. Thank you, Big Mama.
Meditate. They could not pray the day where there would be a moment at the beginning of the day where people could pray if they chose. They could meditate. They could not pray and just sit quietly. And then we got rid of that somehow. I worry that was almost like the government punishing people of faith and saying that how you would reserve this time is no longer worthy, is no longer important. We have a new Supreme Court now, thanks to President Trump. Pastor Paula White, do you think we should revisit the issue of prayer in schools?
Absolutely. We reissued under the last time when he was 45th president, we issued guidelines, but those were federal government. Look, one of the greatest things that happened was the Coach Kennedy case, because that did away with the Lemon Law, which was 50 years of bad rule. Wear your cross, wear your, we can put 10 commandments back up. I mean, absolutely we should revisit it. Like you said,
you think the Jews get mad? They're celebrating this. I shared a rabbi the other day celebrating about the Bible going back into schools. Oh, I got to find that now. If I even posted, I might have just saved it or recorded it, but I know I saw that. I shared it. Oh, yeah, the Jews are seething about the 10 commandments going up in public schools.
Things were much different, much better, because our nation was founded on Judeo-Christian beliefs. And there is a hunger, because what
and then as they implement their Judeo-Christian agenda, running cover for it online are these Christians saying it's an oxymoron. There's no such thing as Judeo-Christianity, as Judeo-Christianity gets shoved down our throats and dominates the highest levels of government.
Has happened, especially these last 4 years, but progressively what led up to this, that it became such a woke society, and you saw the results of that. People are saying they know that is not what they are meant for, and so there is this real, true, genuine return to God. And I know that God has put President Trump in position. He saved his life from that attempted assassination because he's carrier purpose, and I believe part of that great purpose is to protect the things that made America great, and that foundation is faith.
Trump was saved by God to save faith, saved by God to put Bibles in the schools, saved by God to have their Chabad Lubavitch Noahide moment of silence in the morning. And the same thing happened with Governor DeSantis as well. We found so that's just wild. I got to send that to Stop Noahide Law, Vincent Bruno. He'll be on that. Let's save that for later. And I forgot, I had also this clip showing how Christians like Candace Owens are controlled opposition. Listen to this.
Relevant, but of course they now I am a Christian. So for me to make that statement that Judaism is a pedophile-centric religion would mean that I believe the Torah condones pedophilia. And of course that cannot be the case because I am a Christian. And so those first books in my Bible are relevant, but of course they knew
she's a Christian, so she can't criticize or condemn the Torah, which is the foundation and the root of all of Judaism and Jewish identity and the root of the Talmud and Kabbalah. Can't criticize it, can't oppose it, can't condemn it, so you can't condemn the plan. They're accessories to the conspiracy. They're complicit in the Yahweh Moshiach prophetic agenda. Excuse me. They're handicapped and incapable of actually opposing Judaism.
I am a Christian. So for me to make that statement that Judaism is a pedophile-centric religion would mean that I believe the Torah condones pedophilia. And of course that cannot be the case because I am a Christian. And so those first books in my Bible are relevant.
Is she lip smacking or am I? It's her, right?
But of course they knew I didn't say that. The point is that they had the audacity to lie, and then they no, I am a Christian. So for me,
I'm a Christian. I can't criticize. I'm not anti-Judaism because I'm a Christian. I can't criticize actually Judaism. There you go. There you have it. And here's the clip of the rabbi I found celebrating Bible sales hitting an all-time high.
The Bible has been a bestseller for a long time. Why are the sales up in the recent years? Well, because we've drifted so far from what is true into the fake stuff that we're desperate for something real. So we want to go back to something that was always true, because life has been an experiment since the 60s, and it's not healthy. So people desperately want something that is really true, not a bright new idea that was never tried before. So they go back to the Bible. The Bible has been a bestseller for a long time.
All right, I thought I had another one where the woman, the Christian lady was like, we need to put the Hebrew Torah back in schools. Maybe a media search will find it. Let me make sure I got everything here. Okay, now Charlie Kirk also says he has no problem with Christ is King, and he's doing the Christ is King grift.
Okay. So,
his latest viral video, his viral Shabbos Goy video, 10,000 likes.
So what? And you're Christian? Yes, I'm a Christian. How does Israel benefit us as a partner? Well, first and foremost, you're a Christian. Yes. How do we know the Bible is true? From the land of Israel, Palestine. It's not Palestine. You want me to put British Palestine? Does that help? Well, as a Christian, so are you Armenian Christian? No, I'm actually Palestinian. Okay. So what? And you're Christian? Yes, I'm a Christian. Okay. Well, praise God. I'm thrilled to hear that. So, but I think you can acknowledge that we as Christians have to honor the Jews. Do you believe that? I think we should honor everyone. People are people at the end of the day. But in our scriptures, it does say that we should bless the Jews. That Genesis 12:3, bless those. I will bless those descendants that bless me. And we have a covenant with Israel. Do you share that as a Christian? That belief? How does Israel benefit?
The Bible says you need to bless the Jews. Christians don't have a covenant explicitly commanding them to honor Jews. The new covenant focuses on faith in Christ and love for all without a specific mandate targeting Jews. Genesis 12:2 and 3 says about you're cursed if you curse them and blessed if you bless them, the descendants of Abraham. And Christians believe the Jews are the only and last known descendants of Abraham. That's why they believe that. Okay, See Through It All says he has another mix he wants me to watch. Stop lying, you. Okay, we got 10 minutes of Fuentes on Christ is King being labeled anti-Semitic and why they hate it.
Someone says Christ is King. When we say Christ is King, It's not something that they just can't participate in. It is something that they hate. So every time someone says Christ is king, it fills them with wrath, pride, anger. They hate. Do you hear this? Because they actually don't mind when people say, I'm Christian, but when a Gentile comes and says, Christ is your king, Christ is king, Jesus is the king of the...
It's no from my... What? Jesus is the king of the Jews.
He's the king of the world. Don't mind when people say, I'm Christian, but when a Gentile comes and says, Christ is your king, Christ is king, Jesus is the king of the Jews, he's the king of the world. They say, don't say that though. They say, don't, that's actually a problem.
No, they don't.
I, as a Jew, have not only no problem with people saying, for example, Christ is king. I think that that's a good thing for Christians to say. I want Christians to do that because I think that for American society, more people need to declare who are Christian that Christ is king and go back to church because after all, Jesus was a Jew and not only was a Jew, was a practicing Jew.
You hear that, Groypers? No problem with you saying Christ is king because it means Moshiach is king according to the prophecies. He's king, the Messiah, son of David, the king of Judah. That's why he has no problem with it. Oh, what? This is funny. You know what else, too? Whenever I hear a Christian, like, say it in the way where it's like, Christ is king, every knee will bow, and Christ is your king, and you're going to burn if you don't believe in it. It's no different from my perspective as rabbis who say, Moshiach is king, and you're going to be a Noahide and serve him and serve us, otherwise you're destroyed. No different. It's the same exact thing. The two Jewish sects saying the Jewish king and the Jewish God is your king. That's why he has no problem with it.
Does Ben Shapiro and Dennis Prager promote Christianity for Gentiles? Do they?
Not really, no.
Yes, they do.
Not really.
Yes, they do.
No,
oh, my gosh. Yeah, right.
Really.
That's what I'd love to see is a more Christian America in which more people choose God. That's going to require more leadership like yours. It's going to require more powerful Christian leadership.
I want to see a more Christian America because Christians are the biggest supporters of Israel.
The greatest friend and ally on this planet to the Jewish people should be the Christian. And if you're not, something's wrong with your theology. I love you, but something's wrong with your theology.
So I believe the Torah is from God. I believe the Jews are the chosen people. The largest group of people who believes Jews are the chosen people are Christians. Most Jews don't believe it, but Christians who are serious Christians do believe it.
The Jews' best friends are Christians. That's a fact. Yeah. That's not an opinion. That's just a fact.
And the Christians are just like, la, 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 la. Nothing they hate more. Christ is king. Nothing they hate more. Rabbi Yeshua is king. Every knee will bow to the Jewish Messiah. Like, so sick of these guys.
I am rooting for Christianity survival as much as you, the Christian, is or are.
So what is it about Christianity that's critical to Western democracy?
The Bible.
Prager brags about bringing Christians to Christianity.
By the way, I think I've brought more people to Christianity than any living Christian right now.
Said to Dennis Prager, something Christ is king, and he said Christ was a Jew. So they're clearly not on the same page.
He was.
No, Christ was God.
Dollars.
So that was
Favorite Jew all time?
Favorite Jew? Jesus Christ.
Who's the most powerful Jew?
Interesting question. Jesus Christ.
What do you think it is about the Jews? I mean, 3,000 years ago, they were a big deal. I mean, let's recognize there's something going on there.
Well, God chose them to bear the Savior.
God chose them to bear the Savior. Great edit. See through it all. Total destruction. Our Savior is Jewish. Hey, you Jews were chosen to bring us the Savior.
Because the promise is that the Savior will be born through the Jews to save the world. And that is what happened 2,000 years ago. We believe that Jews had this Messiah that they had prophesized, and he arrived, and his name was Jesus. Problem is that the Jews turned away from their Messiah. Jesus Christ was their Messiah, and they didn't accept him.
They were God's chosen, and yet they reject Christ.
The Jewish people rejected him, and the Jewish people in rejecting him, in rejecting the Messiah that they were to bear. And a lot of the Jews, of course, the early Christian community was mostly Jewish people who then became Christians.
The original Judeo-Christian were the Jews that converted to Christianity.
The religion of the white people, because that, I mean, if there even was one, it would be Christianity. It would be the religion of the whites in the last 2,000 years. America should be run by American patriots. They should be making the decisions. And they should be Christian. They should worship the only true God.
And how could you be anti-Semitic when Jesus was a Jew? It's like, well, but Jesus was also God.
You know, and Jesus was Jewish.
Nice job, see through it all. Guys, share this one. If you're on Twitter, hold on, let's get this. We need to get this shared. So sick of these lying, misrepresenting talking points. Just ridiculous. Oh, wait, I'm not trying to tweet it. I'm trying to share it with you guys. Everybody share this, please. The lying. Jordan is... So Cernovich... Oh, wait, hold on. Mike Cernovich says, Jordan is not a Christian by his own admission. Why is he trying to hold himself out as an authority on Christianity?
Know what all those things... Well, the question, did that happen, begs the question, what do you mean by happen? Because when you are dealing with fundamental realities and you pose a question, you have to understand that the reality of the concepts of your question, when you're digging that deep, are just as questionable as what you're questioning.
We have to question your questions.
What do you believe in God? And I think, okay, there's a couple of mysteries in that question. What do you mean do?
Do? What does that mean?
What do you mean you?
What is
what
you?
What do you mean believe? And what do you mean God? And you?
Those are all simple answers.
Well, we already know what all those things
we
mean,
do.
Except belief in God. And I think,
enough of this sophistry.
No, if we're going to get down to the fundamental brass tacks,
stop avoiding the question.
We don't really know what any of those things mean.
Yes, we do.
The question, did that happen, begs the question, what do you mean by happen?
What did it happen in history? Is it real? Is it bullshit made up by Jews, or is it a real thing? That's what it means, Jordan Peterson. Can you answer the question, please?
Here's his answer on, was Jesus literally resurrected? Shit, we got an ad playing.
Think of as a...
Okay, there we go.
Jesus. Someone once asked you whether you thought Jesus was literally resurrected, and you said it would take me 40 hours to answer that question. Okay, that's the kind of thing I'm responding to here. You don't need to do that if you have a clear-cut answer to that question.
I don't have a clear-cut answer to that question.
And if you don't, that connects.
I can't. I'm supposed to shield Rabbi Yeshua. Ben Shapiro hired me to promote Christianity and the Hebrew Torah, and to bring on board all of the pseudo-intellectual secular types. That's why I was hired and paid tens of millions of dollars. I can't say, geez, God is not real, or Jesus didn't resurrect. That would ruin my grift. I was hired and had dinner with Netanyahu to promote Jewish prophecies and Jewish literature. I can't answer that question. Stop asking me these questions.
Next, with many other things that we still have to talk about.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
because that...
It isn't obvious in the biblical account that Christ was literally resurrected. So it's not simple. This is not simple.
No, but if the question is, do you think let's put it probabilistically. I mean, anything's possible. I'll tell you that it's possible that he was physically resurrected. I mean, it's even possible.
Wait a second, I didn't
with respect
say
to quantum
that he
mechanics.
Was.
The point is...
I said it would take me 40 hours to answer the question. I didn't say that he was.
How's this for an answer? Almost certainly not.
Don't clap! Hey, stop clapping!
Bila is a Canadian company. This does not make us an enemy of America. Yes, we manufacture...
Okay, here's another one from Jordan Peterson. Jordan can't answer a straight question, Peterson.
Spirit lives on.
Christ's spirit lives on.
Christ's spirit lives on.
No, he's not actually a Christian. He just wants you to be a Christian, and a very pro-Jewish one.
I don't know. The accounts aren't clear. Spirit lives on. Did his body resurrect? I don't know. I don't know. The accounts aren't clear, for one thing. What the accounts mean isn't clear. I don't know what happens to a person if they bring themselves completely into alignment. I've had intimations of what that might mean. We don't understand the world very well. We don't understand how the world could be mastered if it was mastered completely. We don't know how an individual might be able to manage that. We don't know what transformations that might make possible. Christ's spirit.
Try to put together the biggest word salad you can, not answering the question because you're scared of alienating both sides and messing up your propaganda grift.
When they begin asking about Jesus. I know that a lot of Christians are frustrated when they begin asking about Jesus. It's a real human being. It's someone who's physically crucified by the Romans.
a very different question.
And then is seen as a physical entity by his disciples after he died.
Yeah.
So when somebody asks you, do you believe that that happened? You tend to still speak in terms of the psychological and the mythological.
The truth of the matter is, with regard to the gospel accounts, that the mythological and the historical are inextricably cross-contaminated.
Sure.
There's no pulling out the historical Jesus.
A lot of people interpret Paul, for example, as...
Yeah, he's got a good point there, actually. There is no pulling out. I would agree that there's no historical Jesus there to begin with, but you can't pull out historical Jesus. You can't start dismissing and using criteria to say, well, that's not real because it's obviously mythological, or that's not real because it's obviously just a rewriting of an Old Testament story. But you can't presume there was a historical figure at the core of it and then just remove all the miracles and supernatural and obvious myth and say that's the historical Jesus. The analogy is that's like taking a script of Superman and removing all of the Superman scenes and thinking there must have been a historical Clark Kent that this is based on a real historical Clark Kent. Doesn't work that way.
Saying that if Jesus did not literally rise from the dead, Christianity is undermined. If I went back in time...
If he didn't literally rise from the dead, if Jesus didn't do all the things as the Bible says he did, that means the Bible is a lie and a fraud and a forgery and a hoax and a Jewish myth and a Jewish trick.
Time with a Panasonic video camera and put that camera in front of the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, would the little LCD screen show a man walk out of that tomb?
I would suspect yes.
Which means that when somebody says, do you believe that Jesus rose from the dead? It doesn't seem clear to me why you're not able to just say, it would seem to me yes.
Because I have no idea what that means, and neither did the people who saw it.
I know that a lot of Christians...
Come on.
Idiot.
That one always freezes for some reason.
What an idiot. What an idiot. Oh, what a loser.
Thank God for Jewish Jesus and my Jewish God.
Help me, Jesus. Help me, Jewish God.
I don't understand how people...
Did Jesus actually exit his tomb?
Help me, Jesus.
I have no dog in this fight. I'm not a Christian.
Yeah.
But I know that a lot of Christians are frustrated when they begin asking about Jesus, who's a much more physical entity. Right? It's a real human being. It's someone flesh and blood. It's someone who's physically crucified by the Romans.
It's a very different question. It's very different question.
And then is seen as a physical entity, at least according to the canonical tradition, by his disciples after he died.
Yeah.
So when somebody asks you, do you believe that that happened? And when I've seen you ask about that question, you tend to still speak in terms of the psychological and the mythological.
Resurrection. Okay, so what do I think about that? Well, I think that denying the historical reality of Christ I think that's just a fool's errand.
Of course.
I don't know why anybody would bother with it.
So a man exists.
Hear that. He says it's a fool's errand to doubt that a Jesus existed.
I think that's just a fool's errand.
Of course.
Why? Well, I think that denying the historical reality of Christ I think that's just a fool's errand.
Of course.
Yeah, he would say that.
Bother with it.
So a man.
Why would you even bother? Because then if he's completely whole cloth invented and fabricated in a total myth, it's way more of a lie. It's not just exaggerations and legends that built up around an actual figure. It's less of a lie. So of course they wouldn't want to do it. What is the evidence? They'll say, oh, the scholars agree. Bart Ehrman says the scholars agree and there's a consensus, so we can't question. Okay, why do they say it's a consensus? And then when you dig down, there's terrible proof, and most likely a Jesus did not exist. They won't even entertain that question. The Zionist gatekeepers won't even entertain that question.
It's called Jesus. We have that much.
Now, Christ, there's a claim that is attributed to Christ that he is the embodiment or the incarnation, the fulfillment, let's say, of the prophet and the laws.
Yes.
I think that's true.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What does that mean? Well,
what do you mean that's true? He's saying that he fulfilled prophecy. I know when you actually ask, like, okay, well, what evidence do you have? Why do you say it's a fool's errand to question if this is completely myth? Every other God in history is a complete myth. Most of the secular scholars will agree almost every aspect of the New Testament is mythical. Yeah, all the prophecies are bogus and out of context. Yeah. Not all the prophecies, though. Some of them are based on well-known messianic, interpreted as messianic verses, and we already see the Dead Sea Scrolls, like we covered yesterday, connecting these different passages.
I think it's in the Gospel of John. I think Gospel of John closes with a statement that's something like, if all the books that were ever written were written about the gospel accounts, that wouldn't be enough books to explain what had happened.
Yeah, if all the things that Jesus did.
Yeah, and it's
The Glim says, I found the transcendental argument was founded by a Lutheran philosopher by the name of Immanuel Kant. Doesn't the Ortho Bros not like Lutheranism? Doesn't the Ortho Bros? I don't know. I guess not. It's Protestant. So, yeah, they probably don't like it, but it doesn't matter. They'll take their arguments. They'll take pagan arguments, claim them as their own.
There's a truth in that. The truth is that profound religious account is bottomless, and the biblical representations are like that. There's no limit to the amount of investigation they can bear, not least because the text itself is deeply cross-referenced. So there's an innumerable number of paths through it. It's like a chessboard. And so it's inexhaustible in its interpretive space.
That's true.
And that's a problem too, because it means it's also susceptible to multiple interpretations, including potentially competing interpretations.
I think a lot of people interpret Poole, for example, the earliest New Testament.
Poole? Who's Poole?
Source, as saying that if Jesus did not literally rise from the dead, if there was not a man who stopped breathing and then started breathing again, then your faith is futile and you're still in your sins. That is, Christianity is undermined. Now, that means that, and Paul doesn't say sort of believing that that's false is really bad. He says, if you do not believe this proactively, then your faith is futile.
That's the problem I have with that.
If you don't proactively believe that yourself, then I think when a Christian asks you, do you believe in the resurrection of Jesus? Are you a Christian? I think you must be committed to saying no, at least under that interpretation of Paul. And even if you're not sure, I mean, it's fine if I say to you, do you think that a man physically rose from the dead? And you say something like, well, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there, but I think it has a lot of mythological significance, or I think that maybe it happened in a different sense, or it happened in the sense that good fiction happens, then fine. But it needs to begin with that caveat of the simple sort of, historically speaking, I don't know. And I know you don't like to pull out the historical Jesus from the mythological.
That's a good objection.
But it's an important question to ask.
No, of course. It's a very good objection. So I just did a seminar on the Gospels with a crew of about 8 people. And it was the same crew that walked through Exodus with me with a couple of variations. And we spent a lot of time on the resurrection accounts, for example. And of course, that was the toughest, morsel to chew and digest. The thing about the resurrection accounts is that they're all, so I could say something like this, which will just annoy people, but it doesn't matter. I believe the accounts, but I have no idea what they mean.
When you say you believe the accounts, do you mean, and I hate to be sort of pedantic here, it seems pedantic, but do you mean you believe that these are things that happened such that that's a strange thing. I know you don't like that. Let me put it this way. If I went back in time with a Panasonic video camera and put that camera in front of the two.
Okay,
you had a conversation with Jordan Peterson. He's very well known at the moment for talking about religion, and he comes at it from this completely different perspective to, I imagine, the perspective that most of your previous Christian opponents, not that Jordan Peterson is strictly a Christian, have come at it from, and I wonder what you make of him and his approach.
I enormously respect his courage in standing up to the Canadian laws about free speech. I hugely respect that and value him for that reason. When he talks about religion, I think it's bullshit. I think that he doesn't make any sense at all. I think he's impressing people by using language they don't understand, rather like Deepak Chopra, where people think, oh, it must be terribly profound because I can't understand it. I think the most egregious example of that is where he looks at works of primitive art, works of tribal art, where he shows things like two snakes coiling around each other and says, well, they must have had some primitive, primeval knowledge of DNA. Perhaps they looked into their own cells in some sense and saw the DNA. And that is sheer bullshit, and I told him so.
You had a conversation with Jordan Peterson. He's very well known at the moment for talking about...
Why is it that when you sit down with Richard Dawkins, you find it difficult to have a conversation with each other?
Well, I think it's partly because we don't know each other very well. And also, there are things he knows that I don't know, and there are things I know that he doesn't know. Now, I would say in my defense that what would you say? I'm more of aware of the things he knows that I don't know than he is of the things I know that he doesn't know, right? So, for example, as far as I can tell, Dawkins doesn't know anything about the Jungian tradition of literary interpretation. If you're going to talk about religion, that's actually a fatal flaw. And, you know, he's called me, for example, drunk on symbols.
You love symbols. I mean, you're obsessed with symbols.
Yes.
You're almost drunk on symbols.
You could say that. It's like, well, the imagination is a biological function, and it has a structure and a purpose, and it has its own logos, its own intelligible order. And if you're not aware of that order, that doesn't make me drunk on symbols. It just means you don't know what you're talking about.
Why is it that when you sit down with Richard Dawkins, you find it difficult to... It was really at dinner that things got interesting. Jordan Peterson took Richard Dawkins and myself out to dinner afterwards, and you'll know the universal rule that in polite company, you don't mention religion or politics at the dinner table. So, of course, we proceeded to sit for 2.5 hours in complete silence. A silence only interrupted when the waiter finally came over, and Jordan said to him, well, what do you really mean by order? It was really at dinner that things...
Good one. Did Jesus actually exit his tomb?
Tomb of Joseph of Arimathea. Would the little LCD screen show a man walk out of that tomb?
I would suspect yes.
So that to me seems like a belief in the historical event of the resurrection, or at least of Jesus leaving the tomb, which means that when somebody says, you know, do you believe that Jesus rose from the dead? It doesn't seem clear to me why you're not able to just say, it would seem to me yes.
Because I have no idea what that means.
Oh
and
my
neither did the
God.
people who saw it.
Isn't it so funny that this is the guy that's like leading the charge, working for Ben Shapiro, leading the charge for about Christian anti-Semitism. Let's see, what do we have here? We showed that one. I think we played them all. All right, let's see. Almost 2 hours. I guess we could play this one. Rabbi Shmuley called a Nazi on Piers Morgan. Let's hear this. Haven't heard it yet, but had it saved.
The suffering of my family, my great-grandparents perished in the Holocaust. They were murdered by the Nazis. And today, I have to tell you, I see you as the modern-day followers of the Nazis, supporting this mass murder campaign in Gaza, putting the people of Gaza in what even Israelis have called a concentration camp. It's the Israeli Jews of today, supported by American Jews, unfortunately, some, that are following in the footsteps of our oppressors. And I hope one day you can connect to your own humanity and the very best of your own tradition, which I believe in, to see just how horrible this modern state, this modern supremacist state, is not only for the Palestinians, but the Jewish people as well.
You can't seriously be saying that Rabbi Shmuley, one of the most high-profile Jews in the world, is a successor to the Nazis.
Is a Nazi.
I mean, that's a pretty despicable.
I am saying that.
That's a pretty despicable thing to say, isn't it?
He supports the mass murder of children in a concentration camp. What else am I supposed to?
May I respond to that?
You could call him Jewish. You could say he's a Jewish supremacist. Instead of calling him a Nazi, like the Nazi villain concept is like the foundation that Israel was built on to a large degree. So it's like you're affirming Zionism by calling them not Nazis. When the opposition, when Shmuley's calling him a Nazi and he's calling you a Nazi, and one guy saying this is the Messiah and the other guy's not the Messiah, you're satanic, no, you're satanic. It's all within the Judeo paradigm. Fighting over calling each other Nazis, fighting over who's the Messiah, fighting over who's satanic. When those are the talking points, you're in the Judeo matrix. When everything bad is Satan, you're in the Judeo matrix.
I think you should respond to that.
These are Nazi tactics.
Aaron,
These are Nazi tactics.
Aaron, notice I have not once offended, used ad hominem attacks against Omar or you. But I want to say something to you, Aaron, if I may, respectfully. I believe what you just said about me as a Jew, comparing me to a Nazi.
And then they get to do this whole, how dare you? How dare you? Pearl clutch. Then the Shmuley and the Jews get to go, where is it? How dare you call me a Nazi? You're the Nazi. Putin's a Nazi. No, Zelensky in Ukraine's a Nazi. Trump's a Nazi. No, Chucky Schumer is a Palestinian and a Nazi. The Squad are Nazis. No, Elon's a Nazi. Christ is king. No, Moshiach's king. Yeah, it's like theater. It's like putting on a play. I saw when the Hamas was handing over some of their hostages, they had a sign behind them that said, like, the Zionists are the Nazis.
Will live in ignominy, respectfully, on your resume forever and ever and ever. I think you have now permanently undermined any and all semblance, iota, molecule, atom of credibility. Because if you can compare me, if you can, excuse me.
Yeah, Shmuley wrote a book called Kosher Jesus. Wonder if Adam read it. I have read it. And I posted highlights from it. I didn't buy it. It was at the bookstore. No, not the bookstore, the library.
If you can compare me, father of 9 children, grandfather of 11, who has fought his entire life for Arab rights, who, when I was the rabbi at Oxford, got halal meat for all of us, including the grandson of the king of Saudi Arabia.
I got him some kosher meat, and they circumcised too. They're Ishmaelites. They're basically our brothers. They're basically perfect Noahides. In fact, I even went into mosques and I prayed because they worship the same monotheistic God and they don't believe in idols.
Today is the British ambassador, the ambassador court of St. James, Halal ibn Bandar, the niece of the King of Jordan at the time. I have worked my entire life for Arab.
Okay, didn't think it was going there. What made you conclude that the Bible is a Jewish psyop? Billions of goyim who worship the King of the Jews. That's it. So tired of the Christ is King NPCs being played like a fiddle. Thanks, everybody, for the support this Friday morning, although it wasn't very much. T-shirts available at nomorenews.org. There's still a few left. Get yours before they're gone. Limited edition. Christ is King of the Jews. And you are sheep, and the Jews are very happy. I mean, the top Jews, and we have hours of rabbis saying how Jesus helped conquer idol worship and prepared the world for their messianic age. And the Christians are just going to keep lying about it, keep playing their controlled op, useful idiot role. And things are not going to get better until people figure it out. The Jesus deception is the real conspiracy. You're not based and red-pilled if you believe in Jewish prophecies and the King of the Jews. If you bow down to Moshiach, you're not based and red-pilled. You're a sheep and a slave. Shout out to John Fitzgerald, Garrett Masterpiece McCluskey, Pure Blood, Immortal Al, Optics Prime, Sugar Mama, Big Mama. I called her Sugar Mama. The Glims. Appreciate you guys for the support. And I can't wait to see what you guys have to say in the comments. Everybody have a nice weekend, and I will see you guys again very soon, working on getting some interviews and some panels and the book finished and a new t-shirt design for the next order. Have a nice weekend, guys. Take care. Take care. Where's my outro?